A very good morning, students. Welcome back to online session on data structures and algorithms course. In our previous session, we discussed about heap data structure, and with that we have concluded your fourth unit. So before that, we have seen the different tree data structures. We started with binary trees, then we discussed binary search trees, then the AVL trees, and finally the heap data structure. And whenever we have discussed a particular data structure, we have seen the complete concept of that particular data structure, like the insertion operation, how we can perform the search operation, how we can perform the traversal operation, how we can perform, and finally the implementation of the complete code, including your AVL trees. I have given the implementation. So the same thing you have to do the practice in your labs. Okay, so in today's session we'll be starting your fifth unit, and in your fifth unit we majorly do three different things. So if you see the syllabus of your fifth unit, we are doing sorting, we are doing searching, and also the graph concept. Okay, so we have to see what exactly the sorting techniques are, and how many different types of sorting techniques we have, and the logic behind those sorting techniques, and also the implementation. For searching, as we said, we have only two different types of searchings, that is sequential search and binary search, and this thing we already discussed in your first semester. Okay, in your first semester, inside your C programming, in the fifth unit we discussed this searching techniques, isn't it? Selections, I mean, sorry, linear search and binary search, and along with that we have also discussed two different sorting techniques, that is bubble sort and insertion sort, I guess, isn't it? Bubble sort and insertion sort. So along with that, we also discuss what is a selection sort, what is quick sort, merge sort, and heap sort. Okay, overall the six different types of sorting techniques we discuss. We start with selection sort, then bubble sort, insertion sort, quick sort, merge sort, and heap sort. Seven different sorting techniques. Okay, then two searching techniques, like linear sequential search and binary search. Okay, linear sequential search and binary search, these two types of searching techniques we have to discuss. Okay, and after that we have the graph concepts. Okay, in that graph concepts we have to see the basic terminology related to your graphs, and the representation, how we are going to represent the graph, and the search and traversal techniques. Basically search and traversal both are same, so that we have to discuss. Okay, the search and traversal techniques, like we have uh, breadth first search, BFS, and depth first search, DFS. These two techniques we have to discuss. Okay, we start with graphs concept only. So previously I said that we're gonna discuss these searching techniques, but it's better because we already have some fresh idea about trees. So instead of going for that searching and sorting techniques, it's better to have the discussion on graphs concept. Okay, so quickly we see what exactly this graph data structure is, the complete terminology associated with it, then the representation, how we represent a graph in coding, and then the traversal and searching techniques. All these things we discuss. And we also do the time complexity analysis, algorithms associated with them, and time complexity analysis also we do. See, for every particular data structure we are doing all these things, isn't it? The same thing you have to remember, and when they ask your exams, in your exams you have to convey the same. Okay, so quickly we get into the graphs concept. So this graph concept, it is not new to us. It is not new to us. So you wonder if I tell you that whatever data structures in your fourth unit we discussed, all those data structures are graphs only. Okay, so what we said, a tree is a connected graph. We said a tree is a connected graph without any cycles. When we define the term tree, there we used this graph, isn't it? So or else we can say the tree definition we have taken in terms of graph only, in terms of graph only. So what exactly is a graph? A graph, it is also a tree, it is also a graph. So whatever tree data structures we discussed in fourth unit, all those data structures, they are by default graphs. By default graphs, but they will also have some additional properties. Because of those properties, we have given different names to them. Okay, from the graph we defined tree. From the tree definition we defined binary tree, and from the binary tree definition we defined binary search tree, and from binary search tree we defined AVL tree. So this is a kind of chronology, we can say. From the graph we got tree, and from the tree we got binary tree, and from the binary tree we got binary search tree, and from the binary search tree we got AVL trees. So now we were discussing about the topmost, that is graph data structure. What is a graph? I mean, what definition it is having, how we represent the graph in our coding, and what are the concepts related to it, what is the terminology it is having in it. And before the discussion of these graphs, I just want to make one thing clear, that we are not going to do any implementation for this graphs. Okay, so they rarely ask any sort of implementation associated with these graphs, because it is very complicated data structures. They are very complicated data structures, and it is not in our regular type of semester study, it is very difficult to implement. And moreover, when you go to your advanced semester subjects, I mean upcoming semester subjects, like you do one particular subject, like we have graph theory, GTA, graph theory and its applications. Then we have DA, design and analysis of algorithms. Then we have CC, compiler construction. Okay, all these subjects, they need the knowledge of these trees as well as these graphs. Okay, your upcoming semester subjects, like your just now I have named few, all those subjects, they need the knowledge of trees and graphs. And moreover, if I'm not wrong, what I mean to say, so you people may be having a study of these graphs and trees in your discrete mathematics subject as well, isn't it? So whatever study we are doing over here, ultimately it is going to help you at some point of time in your semesters or in your external examinations. And moreover, this kind of logic analysis, whatever we are doing in terms of tree data structures, graph data structures, whatever logic analysis we are doing, that sort of analysis will improve your analytical ability. Okay, that is very very important when you go for competitive exams, or when you go for what we call um, interviews, or when you go for the career oriented stuff. Okay, so if you're planning to make your career in some analytical subjects, like your artificial intelligence, in machine learning, in data science, okay, and where you are supposed to design algorithms, where you are supposed to design algorithms to solve the given problem or to solve the real time problem, there this sort of analytics will help you. This sort of logical thinking will help you. Okay, so quickly, without much ado, I will start the concept, introduction to graphs. So we define the term graph and we'll proceed. So what exactly is a graph? First of all, a graph is a non-linear data structure. It is a non-linear. It is unlike your singly linked list, doubly linked list, and whatever other sort of data structures we discussed before, trees. So all those are linear data structures, because we can traverse in a sequential way. We have only one straight path from first starting node to end node. But here, when we talk about trees, or when we talk about graphs, they are non-linear data structures. There can be multiple paths between the given nodes, or between the given vertices. Okay, between the given vertices or between the given nodes, we can have multiple paths. So that is the reason why we are calling it as a non-linear data structure. Graph is a non-linear data structure. It contains a set of points known as nodes, or they are also called as vertices. Okay, nodes are vertices, and a set of links, edges, arcs. Okay, we have, I mean, whatever nodes we are going to put inside your tree data structure or graph data structure, we call them as nodes, or we call them as what we call uh, vertices. So like this, we call them as vertices. And whatever links we are going to have between these vertices, we call them as the general term links can be used, or we can also call them as what we call vertices arcs. Okay, because sometimes in order to show this representation between the nodes, if you have more than one path, then what we do, instead of drawing a straight line between the two vertices, what we do, we will take the help of an arc. So like this we represent, like this we represent. So instead of drawing a straight line, now what we are doing, we are showing with an arc, just to avoid the collision of these two paths. Because if you have more number of paths, definitely you have to go for arcs to represent the link, arcs to represent the edge. So over there, instead of taking the straight lines, what we are taking, we are taking arcs. Okay, here edges are used to connect the vertices. So basically, in order to connect the vertices, we are using the edges. Okay, so a graph can be defined as it is a collection of vertices and edges. It is a collection of vertices and the connected edges, we can say, connected arcs. It is a collection of vertices and arcs in which vertices are used to connect the in which the vertices are connected using arcs, like that we can say. So a graph is a collection of nodes and edges in which nodes are connected using edges, in which nodes are connected with edges. Okay, a simple definition. So unlike your tree data structure, we said inside a tree there must be n vertices. If you have n vertices, then there must be n minus 1 edges. That is the property, that is the logic behind a tree data structure. So if it satisfies that property, if a graph satisfies that property, then only we said that graph is a tree, isn't it? Then only we said that graph is a tree. So here when we are talking about a graph, there is no such consideration, there is no such property. Okay, there is no recommendation that you have to maintain n vertices and n minus 1 edges. It should not be like that. So that is the reason why we simply said a graph is a collection of vertices and edges. A graph is a collection of nodes and edges where edges are used to connect the nodes. Edges are used to connect the nodes. These two are the simple definitions for a graph that you can remember. These two are the simplest definitions for a graph that you can remember. So in order to represent a graph G, what we do? We said a graph is a collection of vertices and edges. So simply put those vertices and edges between the parentheses, separated by comma. So like this we represent. So over here you can see G is equals to V comma C, where V is set of vertices. V is set of vertices. Here you can read. And what is this E? E is set of edges. So in your tree data, in your graph data structure, whatever vertices you have, simply collect all those vertices and make a set, like your mathematical set, isn't it? Collect all those vertices and make a set, then that particular set will be called as, will be represented with a capital V. And collect all the edges present inside your graph and make a set and call it as E. E set. So V set is a set of vertices, E set is a set of edges. So here graph G is equals to V comma E, where V is set of vertices and E is set of edges. So like this you remember. How we are representing? G is equals to V comma C. In short, graph is a collection of vertices and edges. So that collection, this is how we are representing. This is how we are representing V comma C. V is set of all vertices, E is set of all edges. Very simple definition. Very simple definition, very simple concept. Try to memorize, try to understand, because this particular thing, uh, the concept of graph we are seeing in two different units, inside your fifth unit as well as inside your fourth unit. Your fourth unit is completely filled up with these tree data structures only, and we said a tree is a graph only. A tree data structure is a graph data structure only. So whatever analysis, whatever study we have done with respect to trees, that same study we have, that means that same study we have already completed, isn't it? So here only few things which will differ that we have to complete over here. Okay. So after this discussion, we quickly go and see the example for a graph. The example for a graph. So over here you can see how many vertices we have inside this graph. We have like 5 vertices. So this A is a node, it is a vertex. B is a node, it is a vertex. E is a node, it is a vertex. Like D, C also vertices. Okay, vertex is the singularity and vertices is plural. Okay. So here how many vertices we have? We have 5 vertices, A, B, C, D, E. And how many edges we have? Like 7 edges we have. You count it. So here this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, this is 5, 6, 7. Okay. This particular data structure, it is also having vertices and edges. So your tree data structure, it will also have vertices and edges. Then where exactly the difference is and what makes this graph not as a tree? What makes this graph not as a tree? That we have to understand, isn't it? So we said this every graph in order to become a tree, it should be connected. It should be connected. And over here, this particular graph, it is connected. This particular graph, it is connected. So it is satisfying the first property. Then we said there should not be any loops. There should not be any loops. Loops in the sense, if you are starting from B, okay, by following a certain path inside your data structure, by following a certain path inside your data structure, you should not reach it back. You should not reach it back. So if all your vertices, if your all your nodes are satisfying this property, we call that particular data structure as a tree data structure. But over here it is not satisfying that property. So what we said, okay, if you are starting from B node, okay, if you are starting from B node in one particular direction, there should not be any possible path where you can reach it back, where you can reach that same node back. So if I start from B, okay, from B to E, then E to D, then D to B again, so I'm reaching it back. So it is forming like a loop. It is forming like a loop. So it is not a tree data structure. Here also you can go like this: B, E, D, C, A, B. Like that also you have another path. Like that also you have another path. Okay, because of these many reasons, as it is having many loops, this particular data structure, it is a graph, but it is not a tree because it is having loops. And moreover, the concept of n vertices, n minus 1 edges. Okay, n vertices, n minus 1 edges. See, in your data structure, if you are having loops, that means this property is already violated. This property, it is already violated. If you have the loop, means this property already violated. So that you can confirm over here. How many edges we have? Like 5 vertices we have. How many edges we have? Like 7 edges. So 5 vertices, 7 edges. I mean, it is completely violated this property, tree property. So it is not a tree. So this graph, how we are representing? G is equals to V comma E. G is equals to V comma E we are representing, where V is collection of all vertices. How many vertices we have? A, B, C, D, E. 5 vertices we have. Simply make that 5 vertices list as a set. 5 vertices list as a set. So then that will become V set. Then that will become V set. Okay, set of vertices. Then edges. How we can frame the edges? So how many different edges we have over here? You just see. From A to B we have one edge. Then A to D we have. A to C we have. Then B to D we have. Okay, B to D. Then B to C also we have. No, B to C we don't have. B to D we have. C to D we have. Then B to E, E to D. Okay, these many edges, like 7 edges we have. 7 edges we have. So all these edges, I mean, if you put inside a set, so how we are naming a particular edge, that you just see that one. So what we are doing, we are simply making the two ends points of that edge within a parenthesis separated with a comma. So this is how we are representing a particular edge. To represent this particular edge, how we can do this particular edge? See here, I am highlighting this one. So this particular edge, how we can represent? Simply take parenthesis and write down the two endpoints. Like A is one endpoint and B is another endpoint. Simply put that AB within brackets, within parentheses. So this is the representation of edge. So how we are going to name this particular edge? Take like this, A comma C, because A is one edge and C is another edge. So this particular edge, C to D, how we can represent? Simply C comma D. So like this you can name all your edges, all 7 edges, and put also those 7 edges as a list, within a list, I mean within a set. Then that set will become set E. Then that set will become set of edges E. So now you can represent this complete graph. G is equals to V comma E, where V is this one, this particular set, where V is this particular set, this one. Okay. And E is this entire thing from here to here. Like total how many? 7 edges we have. 3, 3, 6 plus 1, 7 edges we have. Okay. So like this you can remember your tree data sorry, graph data structure. Like this you can remember your graph data structure. So everything we have discussed, how we are representing the graph and what is set of vertices and what is set of edges, everything we have represented. And what difference we have between the tree and the graph, that also we discussed. Tree will have n edges, n minus 1, n vertices, n minus 1 edges. If that property violated, means the data structure what we have, it is graph only. Okay. So the terminology related to these graphs we have to understand. So we have 19 different terms in the terminology of graphs. Okay. We have how many terms? Like 19 terms we have in the terminology of graph. And we start with vertex, edge, undirected graph, directed graph, mixed graph. End vertices are endpoints, then origin, destination, adjacent, incident, outgoing edge, incoming edge, degree, in degree, out degree. Okay. Then parallel edges are multiple edges, then self loop, simple graph, and last one, path. All these 19 terms we have to understand. Okay, we need to get the explanation on these 19 terms. So these 19 terms, they are closely related to, I mean, these 19 terms we basically going to use when we are doing the study about these graphs. Okay. So these graphs, hardly it will take 2 classes, not more than 2 classes. In today's class, we'll complete all these terminological terms. And in tomorrow's class, we see what is breadth first search and what is depth first search. And with that, we conclude this graphs concept. And in the immediate session, we do the discussion on searching and searching, like binary search, linear search. If we have completed these things, means we'll be left with only sorting techniques. And that too, 7 sorting techniques only we have. So per class, two sorting techniques means around 3 classes, 3 more classes I need. So 3 plus 2, in 5 classes will wind up the complete 5th unit, hopefully. And after that we'll do the revision in your offline classes. I mean, hopefully we are expecting some. So in offline classes you can clarify your doubts and all, so that you will be ready for the examinations. Okay. So quickly, so we'll start the terminological terms over here. What is vertex? Vertex is nothing but the individual element inside your graph. Whatever individual elements, whatever individual data points we are having, we are calling them as vertex. We are calling them as vertex. Vertex is also known as node, where it is going to have the data part and also the links to other nodes, isn't it? Where vertex is going to have the data part and links to other nodes. So vertex, it is the data element present inside your graph. Okay. So whatever example we have seen just before, in this how many vertices we have? Like 5 vertices. So these things, where exactly you are storing the data, like these vertices, A vertex, B vertex, C, D, E vertex, like this we said, isn't it? C, D and E vertex, like this we said. So in our above example, we have totally 5 vertices. Okay, they are known as vertices. And what exactly is an edge? In the sense, it is a link, it is a connecting link between the two vertices. So if you have two vertices, so in order to connect those two vertices, we are using what we are using link. Like this is one vertex and this is another vertex. So in order to connect these two vertices, like this, we are using an arch kind of thing we are using, and and this particular arch is nothing but your vertex, oh, sorry, edge. Okay, edge. So sometimes it is also called as a link. Okay, so in this above example, I mean, how this edge is representing, if this is your node A and this is your node B, then how we are representing the vertex we are representing like A comma B, because it is connecting AB. Okay, this particular edge, this particular what we call link is connecting A and B. So how we are representing this edge, in the sense, simply within the parenthesis you put the endpoints of that edge. Here endpoints are nothing but your vertices. Simply put the endpoints, that is nothing but vertices of that edge, within the parenthesis separated with a comma. So within the parenthesis, what we have to put, the starting vertex and the end vertex we have to put. Okay, end vertex we have to put. So in the above example, the link between AB can be represented like this. So here in this example, the link between AB, so that is nothing but this particular thing, is represented like this, A comma B. Okay, so in our example, how many edges we have? Like 7 edges, and all those 7 edges are named like this: AB, AC, AD, then BD, BE, CD, DE. So like this, we have named all our links, all our edges. Edges are nothing but links, are the connecting links between the vertices, between the two vertices. So for every vertex, there can be two endpoints. Sorry, for every edge, there can be two end vertices. Okay, then we have edges. Edges, they are of three types. So types of edges, we can say edges are three types. So first one is undirected edges, then directed edges, and the final one is weighted edges. Okay, undirected edges, in the sense, between the two vertices, whatever link we are having, we're not going to have any direction. Okay, like this, you are having two vertices, and like this, if you are having the edge, there is no direction in which direction this particular path is going. I mean, it is very difficult to say. If you have a path like this, if you have an edge like this, it is very difficult to say which one is the starting vertex and which one is the end vertex, which one is the starting vertex and which one is the end vertex. You cannot say, because this path, it is a bidirectional, this edge, it is a bidirectional. Okay, it is a bidirectional, and as it is not having any direction, we can call it as an undirected edge, or bidirected edge, because it will represent two things, from A to B as well as from B to A. It does not make any difference in that. Okay, so it is a undirected edge where we are not having the direction. An undirected edge is a bidirectional edge as well, because it can be anything, can be, you can write anything, like you can write this edge as A comma B or B comma A. These both the things are equal, because there is no direction. So making A as starting point, B as end point, or making B as starting point and A as end point, both are same. Both are same. Here you can read that one. And undirected edge is a bidirectional edge. If there is undirected edge between the vertices A comma B, then edge A comma B, representing A comma B like this, is equal to representing the edge B comma A like this, representing edge B comma A. Both are equal. Then comes the concept of directed edge. Directed edge, it is going to have the direction. It is going to have the direction. So like this, you'll be having a direction like this. So if this is your A and this is your B, now you can write this particular edge as only A comma B. Okay, you can write that particular edge as only A comma B. You can't write the edge like this, B comma A. These two are not equal. These two are not equal, because the direction they have mentioned, and that direction, it is pointing towards B. That means to this particular edge, the starting point is, the starting vertex is A only and the end vertex is B only. Okay, you cannot write that, I mean, you cannot do the consideration in reverse order. You cannot do the consideration in reverse order because A is the starting edge and B is the end edge. Okay, so then weighted edge, it is something like they will give, okay, because sometimes it is also, you have to in let us assume we are doing the we are implementing a network topology. Okay, in computer networks we are implementing a network topology. There we are going to have different computers and connection between those computers. Okay, the different networking devices and the connection between those networking devices. So here when we do such type of topology, we need to know the distance between any two devices, isn't it? We need to know the distance between any two devices. So that distance, or if you are representing your graph in order to show the distance or in order to show the measurement calculation between the two nodes, we sometimes what we do, on top of this edge we represent that weight, that distance, that value. Okay, we simply call it as a weight, a cost. Okay, like 6. So this indicates 6. So suppose you take another node and you have the link from this node to this node and this node to this node, and this can be 4, this can be 7, like this you can represent the weights. Okay, so here in simple terms you can say, when you have like this A, B, C, by just seeing these weights you can easily say that the distance between A and C is more than distance between A and B. Like this you can do the path comparison. Okay, so a weighted edge is an edge with value cost on it. So in this way the distance between two vertices, or the cost value between two vertices, we represent on top of the edge. Such a represented graph we can say it as a weighted edge. Okay, we can say it as a weighted edge. Okay, weighted edge. So edges, they are of three types: undirected edges, directed edges, and weighted edges. We discussed three. Then undirected graph. Undirected graph means if your graph is having all undirected edges. If your graph is having all undirected edges, then we call such a graph as an undirected graph. Okay, so there are no directions between the vertices, between to the edges, between the vertices. There are no directions to the edges between the vertices. If you have such a graph, then we call that graph as an undirected graph, because we are not having any directions to the edges. So which for a particular edge, what node or what vertex is the starting point and what node, what vertex is the end point, it is very difficult to say. If you have an undirected graph, it is very difficult to say which edge is the, I mean, which vertex is the starting point and which vertex is the end point for a particular edge. So such a graph we call it as an undirected graph. Then we have directed graph. So here we have the directions. All edges inside your graph will have directions. So here it is very easy. It will be very easy to tell which vertex is the starting point and which vertex is the end point for a particular edge. Okay, for a particular edge. So inside a directed graph, all edges will have directions. So like this, let us say if you have different nodes like this and you have different vertices between them. So yeah, from here to here one vertex, from here to here another vertex, sorry, another edge, here to here another edge, here this is like this is like this. Like this we have all edges between the vertices. Like this we have all edges between the vertices. So it is an undirected graph because we don't have any directions. Okay, not even a single edge is having directions over here. So this is an undirected graph. So when you do the same thing, when you put the directions to these edges, then this particular graph will become what? This particular graph will become a directed graph because all my edges in this graph are having directions. So we call such a graph as an directed graph. Then lastly, the mixed graph, it is a combination of above two. So some of your edges, they may have directions, and some of your edges, they may not have directions. Okay, so a graph with both undirected and directed edges is said to be the mixed graph. Hopefully you understood. So then next thing is end vertices or end points. the two vertices for a particular edge, whatever vertices we are having as endpoints or as end vertices, we call them as end vertices, are the two vertices through which the edge is joined. Through the edge is where exactly the edge is used to join two particular vertices, we call those two vertices as the endpoints to that particular edge. Okay, endpoints of that edge. The two vertices joined by the edge are called as endpoints or end vertices of that edge. Very simple to understand. Then origin. If it is a directed graph, the origin and destination we will have only to the directed graph. So if you have a directed edge, okay, if you have a directed edge between the two vertices, so like this, if you have a directed edge between the two vertices, then the vertex from where the edge is starting, we call it as an origin. From where the vertex is, the edge is starting inside your graph, the directed edge from where it is starting, we call it as an origin vertex, origin, simply origin. Then where exactly the directed edge is ending, we call it as an destination. Okay, origin and destination, very simple to understand. These two are vertices. For a directed edge, the starting vertex will be called as an origin and the end vertex will be called as an destination. Okay, then we have adjacent. Adjacent vertices are something, they are connected with a single edge. If there is an edge between vertices A and B, then A and B are adjacent to each other. A and B are said to be adjacent to each other. So there must exist a vertex. There must exist an edge between the two vertices. So supposedly, I will draw a data structure like this, a graph data structure like this. So here and here like this we have. So now what I am doing? Yeah, here A, B, C, D, like this I am taking. So now for A, B and C are adjacent vertices. B and C are adjacent vertices. The reason, because we have a direct connection between A, B and between A, C. So for A, B and C are adjacent vertices, but whereas D, it is not an adjacent vertex. It is not an adjacent vertex, adjacent node. Hopefully you understood. Then incident. An edge is said to be the incident. So for A and B, as it is connecting A and B, this particular edge is said to be the incident edge for these two endpoints A comma B. For these two endpoints, this particular edge will become an incident. Edge is said to be incident on a vertex if the vertex is one of the endpoint of that edge. So here, as A is one of the endpoint to this particular edge, so here edge AB is an incident to edge to vertex A. Edge AB, like this we represent, right? Edge AB is an incident to what we say vertex A. Edge AB is an incident to vertex A, like this. So then we have outgoing edge. So if it is a directed graph, the edge, okay, the edge, what we call coming out, the edge coming out from a particular vertex is an outgoing edge to that particular vertex. So here now I have AB. Here I have AB and I have an edge, directed edge from AB. Okay, I have a directed edge from AB. So for A, this particular edge AB will be the outgoing edge, isn't it? Because it is coming out of that vertex. Because this particular edge is coming, it is looking like coming out of this particular edge A. So here, this particular edge AB is the outgoing edge for vertex A. Outgoing edge for vertex A. Then incoming. So consider the same thing. Incoming edge for this particular B node, for this particular B vertex, the edge AB is an incoming edge because it is entering into that B node. It is entering, as it is entering into that B node, we call this AB node as an incoming edge to this B node. Incoming edge to this B node. Here this AB edge, it is coming out of A, so we call it as outgoing edge. Whereas the same edge AB is entering into A, it is looking something like entering into B. So we call this particular edge as an incoming edge to vertex B. AB is an outgoing edge to vertex A, and AB is an incoming edge to vertex B. Incoming edge to vertex B. So like this you remember. Then the degree. Total number of edges connected to a vertex is said to be the degree of that vertex. Okay, degree. Like this you have. Here also you have, here also you have different nodes. So here you have one link from here, one link from here to here, another link from here to here. Like this you have, like this you have. Okay, and let us say like this also you have. This is also possible. Like this also you have. So now this is A, this is B, this is C, this is D. For A, how many edges are connected? For this A, we have two edges connected. So we call this particular A's degree as 2. For B also 2. For D also, for C also 2. For D also 2. For B, we have 3. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the degree of B is 4 because it is having one edge from this, one edge from here, one edge from here, and one is the self loop, fourth edge. So it is having the degree like 4. The total number of edges connected to that vertex is said to be the degree of that vertex. And here four edges are connected to this vertex B. So the degree of B is 4. And all other vertices in my graph, they are connected with only 2 edges. So their degree is 2. Hopefully you understood. Then in degree, if it is a connected graph, in degree, if it is a connected graph, then all incoming edges count. All incoming edges count will give you the what we call in degree. Only incoming edges we have to count. Only incoming edges we have to count, and that will become the in degree of a particular vertex. In degree of a particular vertex. So here let us say this is A, this is B, this is C, this is D. So now from A to C like this I have, from A to B like this, from B to D like this, okay, like this, and like this. I have like this. All the directions I have like this. So now, what is the in degree for B? What is the in degree for B? Only one incoming edge. So the degree of in degree of B is 1. Then what is the in degree of C? Only one edge. So 1. What is the in degree of D? Only one incoming edge. So like this. What is the in degree of A? We have 2. One is coming from B and another one is coming from D. So here 2. So like this you can put the in degrees of particular vertex. So now out degree. Out degree is nothing but the edges which are coming out of coming out for a particular vertex. Okay, the outgoing edges we can say. The outgoing edges connected to a vertex is said to be the out degree of that particular vertex. Out degree of that particular vertex. So now suppose if you consider the vertex A over here. Vertex A, how many outgoing edges? Only one outgoing edges towards C. So the out degree of A will become only 1. Okay, then consider this D. Okay, how many outgoing vertices? Only one outgoing vertex edge that is going towards A vertex. So out degree is also 1 over here. For C, how many out degrees? Only 2. For C, we have 2 out degrees. Okay, one is 2 as out degree because one is going towards D and one is going towards B. So here how many outgoing edges? 2 outgoing edges. So out degree will be 2. So like this you can remember in degrees and out degrees, and these in degrees out degrees possible only in case of directed graph. Remember this one. Only in case of directed graph. Parallel edges are multiple edges. So between the two vertices, if you have more than one edge, between the two vertices, if you have more than one edge, we call such edges as parallel or multiple edges. So let us say you have one vertex, another vertex. So if there are two undirected edges with same end vertices, or two directed edges with same vertices, same origin and destination, such edges are called as parallel edges. So let us suppose this is A and this is B, and you have one edge going from A to B like this, and another edge going from A to B only like this. So here you have links like this. So now these two edges are parallel to each other, or these two edges are multiple edges because we have more number of links between A and B. So multiple edges are parallel edges, we can say. Self loop, where for a particular edge both source and the destination, both origin and destination will be the same vertex. If it is so, then we call such a what we call such a edge as self loop. Such an edge will be called as an self loop. Let us say we have only one edge over here, A, and you have a link like this. So this particular edge is pointing the A only. The starting point and the end point are the starting vertex, origin vertex, and the destination vertex is same, A, for this particular edge. So we call this particular edge as self loop. Self loop, because where it has started, to that same point it is reached. Okay, to that same point it is reached, so it is a self loop. Then simple graph, a graph is said to be simple. So when we call a particular graph as simple, means because if it is not going to have any parallel or self loops, okay, if there are no parallel edges or self loops, then we call such a graph as simple graph. Okay, if there should not be any parallel edges, or there should not be any self loops, then only we call that particular graph as a simple graph. Hopefully you understood. Then what is a path? So the direction, the movement from one vertex to another vertex, how you are reaching, what edges you are crossing, or what vertices you are crossing, what edges you are touching, all those things you can call it as a path. Okay, all those things you can call it as a path. So here I have drawn one particular graph. So let us say, for to reach to reach B from D, here we have our D, and to reach B from D we have to visit, like from A to D I have to move, because I cannot go in this direction. From D to C I cannot go, because here it is a unidirectional graph, unidirectional edge. From A D to A I can go, D to A I can go, then A to C I can go, then finally C to B. So this entire thing, D, A, C, B, is nothing but your path, because we have to move like this, like this, then like this, then like this. I have to move in a Z shape. I have to move zigzag shape. I have to move. So that is the reason why we call this particular thing as the path, the complete path of mm, the complete path between two vertices. Okay. So graph representation. To represent a graph, we have the following techniques. Okay, we use adjacency matrix, we use incidence matrix, and we use adjacency list. These three things can be used in order to represent a graph. So first we go with adjacency matrix. So sometimes they will give this question for 2 marks because it is very easy. They will give for 2 marks. You just need to draw the adjacency matrix for the given graph. Okay, so how the adjacency matrix can be represented means, in this representation the graph is represented using a matrix. So matrix means rows and columns. Okay, so in this matrix, I mean, what we do means the total number of vertices we will calculate from the graph. The total number of vertices we calculate from the graph, and that many number of rows and columns we take, and simply we name whatever rows you have, we name them with vertex names, and whatever edges we have, we name them with vertices names only. And yeah, whenever we have a edge between the two vertices, whenever we have a edge between the two vertices, we simply put 1, and if there is no edge, we simply put 0. Okay, we simply put 0. So this thing you will clearly understand when we do the example. So here, to this particular graph, what it is a graph over here, because yeah, we have 5 vertices and many more edges, 5 vertices and many more edges, so we call this particular thing as a graph. So what I said, first note down how many vertices you have in this particular graph. I have 5 vertices, so I can create a matrix with 5 by 5, where I'm going to represent all 5 vertices in columns, all 5 vertices in rows as well. So now you got all vertices in columns, these are columns, and all vertices in rows as well, these are rows. Okay, so just check the coincide point where this A and this A, column A and row A are coinciding. Okay, just check that point. Okay, yeah, over there what you have to do is, if there is a link between A to A, if there is a link between A to A, do we have starting and end point for a particular edge as A only? No, we don't have. Okay, no, we don't have, because all my edges which are starting from A, they are going towards another vertex. So if this particular edge you consider, if this particular edge as it is starting from A but it is not reaching A back, this particular edge, it is starting from A but it is not reaching back to A, where it is going to B. Okay, it is going to be. So simply in short, from A to A we don't have any edge, but from A to B I have an edge. Okay, I have an edge, this particular edge, A to B. Then A to C I have an edge, this particular edge, A to C. Then A to D also I have an edge like this from the middle. Then A to E I don't have any edge. Direct edge we have to treat. From A to A we don't have any edge. So simply put 0. So A to A don't have 0, and all other cases I have, and A to E also I don't have, so 0. Here also 0 I kept. Here and here zeros, because there is no edge between A to A and there is no edge between A to E. Then go to B. From B to A we have this particular link. Then B to B no edge, 0. B to C we have. B to C we have? No, no, we don't have B to C. So B to C also 0. You can see this one. B to C is this one. This is 0. Then B to D we have direct edge 1. So B to E also we have direct edge 1. So then A to C. A to C do we have? Sorry, C to A. C to A do we have? Yes, we have. C to B we don't have, 0. C to C we don't have, 0. C to D 1. C to E nothing, 0. C to E also nothing, 0. Then D to all other edges. Okay, D to A we have 1. D to B we have 1. D to C we have 1. D to E also we have 1, and D to D also we have this particular thing. So for D, all ones should it come, because here you can see all ones we have 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, because D is having a direct edge to, or direct edge to all these vertices, or we can say D is an adjacent vertex to all these things. Okay, then we have E. From E to A we don't have anything, 0. E to B we have direct link, 1. E to C nothing, 0. E to D 1. E to E 0. So like that you can do the adjacency matrix. Okay, adjacency matrix only, this one. The first one, how we can draw the adjacency matrix from the graph, I have shown. It is very easy. First of all, just list the vertices and frame a matrix by using all those vertices, both in rows as well as in columns. And whenever there is an edge between a particular vertex to another vertex, simply put 1. And whenever there is no link, whenever there is no edge between a vertex to some other vertex, simply put 0 over there. If there is an edge, we put 1, and if there is no edge, we put 0. Okay, consider another example. It is a directed graph. So for this, it is a directed graph. From A to B we have link. Okay, from A to B we have link, but from B to A we don't have. Simply check that one. A to B means this particular. A to B, sorry, not this one. A to B means this one. We have a link. Okay, but B to A we don't have. This one you can check. A to B we have, because it is unidirectional, we are keeping 1 over here only. But whereas same thing in reverse we don't have, B to A. So we are keeping 0 over here. So likewise, all these edges you can consider as it is unidirectional edges or directed edges. Simply, if there is a if there is an direction edge between the two what we call vertices, you just put 1. If there is no directed edge, in that direction, if you consider B to A, where B will become the start point and A will become the end point. B will become the origin and A will become the destination. So in that case, we don't have any edge. From B to A in reverse direction, we don't have any edge. So B to A we are keeping 0. Like that for all the nodes you can tally out. So The next thing is incidence matrix. So over here, what we do, yeah, in rows we put the vertices and in columns we put the edges. So here columns and edges both we use to represent the matrix. Here also incidence matrix, it is a matrix, and whenever there is a yeah, we use 0, 1 and minus 1 to fill up this matrix, and 0 represents the row edge is not connected to a column vertex. If there is no edge, we put 0. Okay, and 1 represents the row edge is connected to an outgoing edge. I mean, we can do this incidence matrix only to what we call, only to the directed graphs. For undirected graphs we can't do this one. Okay, we can do this to only directed graphs. So if there is a directed link between A to B, we should put 1. If there is no edge, put 0. Okay, put 0. And minus 1 when we put means represents that the row edge is connected to an incoming edge. If there is an incoming edge, put minus 1. And if there is an outgoing edge, put 1. And if there is nothing, put 0. So very simple, you just understand that one. So from how many vertices we have, like A, B, C, D, E, 5 vertices that I have taken on rows, 5 vertices, and then edges E1, E2, E3 I have pointed, I mean I have marked with some different labels, E1, E2 up to E8, because we have 8 edges over here. So that I have marked on columns. Now consider A to E1. A to E1 we have a direct link. See this A over here and E1. A E1 we have direct, it is a direct outgoing link. It is direct outgoing link from A. This particular E1 is the direct outgoing link from A. So put 1. Then E2. E2 is also a direct outgoing link from A. So put 1. Then E3. E3 is an incoming link to A. So put minus 1. E3 is an incoming link. So put A. Then E4. We don't have any connected connection to E4. 0. E5 0. E6 0. E7 0. E8 0. Because we don't have any direct connection to these edges. So we are keeping zeros over there. We have only direct connections with E1, E2 and an indirect connection with E3. Two outgoing edges E1, E2 and one incoming edge E3. So for outgoing edges we put 1s and for incoming edge we put minus 1, and if there is no connection to the edge we put directly 0 over here. So A we have completed. Now check B. For B, E1 it is an incoming, so put minus 1. Okay, for B, E1 is an incoming one, so put minus 1. E2 is no relation 0. E3 is no relation 0. E4 outgoing 1. E5 no relation 0. E6 outgoing. E6 outgoing 1. So all those things you can check. And E7, E8 they are not having any link. So zeros. Then go to C. Now do the C. For C, check the C where it is here. For C, E1 no connection 0. E2 E2 it is an incoming, so minus 1. E3 no connection 0. E4 no connection 0. E5 outgoing 1. E6 no connection 0. E7 no connection 0. E8 no connection 0. Then go to D edge. Okay, for D, E1 no connection because D is here and E1 is here, no connection 0. E2 also no connection, here we have E2 0. Then E3 it is an outgoing minus 1. D of E3 minus 1, you can check that. Okay, you can check that thing over here. D of minus 1 it is D of E3 it is 1. D of E3 it is 1. Where you can check that one? Here you can. D of E3, this particular thing 1. D of E4 incoming minus 1. D of E5 it is incoming minus 1. D of E6 no connection 0. D of E7 outgoing 1. D of E8. Okay, D of E8 what we put, it is an outgoing and incoming both, but we consider outgoing only. Outgoing, so we put 1. Then E, we have E. So for E, E1 there is no link, so 0. E2 no link, 0. E3 also no link, 0. E4 E4 also no link, 0. E5 no link, 0. E6, E6 is an incoming link, as you can see over here. E is here and E6 is an incoming link in this direction. So we put -1. Then E7, E7 is also an input, -1. Then E8, no connection, 0. So like this you can construct incidence matrix. Then we have the adjacency matrix and followed by the implementation of, not implementation, concept discussion of the um, graph traversal techniques. Graph search techniques or graph traversal techniques that we do in tomorrow's class. Hopefully you understood. Thank you, students. The concepts are very easy. Just pay a little effort over here, little attention over here. You will easily get these concepts. Okay. Thank you very much, students.